Hello, fish head friends. Joe here. Bear with me. I'm getting over a cold or bug or whatever. It's kind of sick for the last couple weeks. So, quick update on my cichlid tank here. I went through a stretch for 3, maybe 4 weeks of not changing the water, and I know that's definitely not great. Um, the way work and life was going, I was sick. Um, and I had a slight rash on my arm that I had to use a steroid cream, or I don't know exactly what it was. I don't remember. But so I always kind of had the remnants of that cream on my hand. No matter how much I washed my hand, I just didn't feel that it was clean enough really to stick in my tank. Same with my arm. So that was part of it. Also, my work schedule got pretty crazy for about 2 weeks. Not that I was exceptionally busy. It was more, I plow and I salt when needed. So there was a few days where I'd have to go out to work 3 in the morning, and then it'd still be snowing when I was done, and I'd be on call, and I'd have to, sit and wait all day waiting for the phone to ring to go back out. And it could have happened at any time, and I couldn't tell the boss, hey, yeah, I'll be in an hour when my tank's done filling up. That doesn't fly. So I just wasn't able to clean it for longer than I really liked. Optimal. My favorite maintenance schedule is about every 5 days to do 50 to 75% water change. That is kind of tough to do. Usually is once a week, and that's fantastic for me. I do about 75% water changes once a week. That's pretty much ideal. That's how I get my fish to the point where they're constantly breeding. Not always, but for quite some time now, I almost always have 2 or 3 females holding in here. It's basically a weekly cycle where a new female's holding, and then all of a sudden one female isn't holding after 3 weeks. So once a week is ideal for me personally. Reasonably often I do have to let it go 2 weeks because of work schedules and stuff like that. But as long as the fish are breeding, I don't see it as a big problem. It's less than ideal, but I don't see it as a big problem because they're still breeding, still popping out new fry. I don't strip any. I know I tried stripping the rusty female a month or so ago, and those eggs ended up not being fertilized. That's why they deteriorated. So anyways, a few days ago, I finally got around to doing a big water change. Everybody looked happy, and then a day or so later, I saw on several fish there were little white spots. Probably ick. There are other things, infections, funguses, bacteria, whatever that appear to be like ick. But I don't know what specifically it is. I just assume it's ick. And I think most of those things are treated the same as ick anyways. So I saw this at about 11 o'clock at night. So I went through the trouble of doing another big water change. I did about 80% change. Then I had to open up my canister filter, take out the Purigen and the, what else do I have in there? The ChemiPure Blue. I had to take that stuff out because that, of course, will take the meds out of the water. Also, the Purigen needs to be recharged anyways. And so after all of that, I dosed it with erythromycin, General Cure, and ICX. And that's the trio of meds that Cory from Aquarium Co-op does for all of his fish. Now, the way he does it is off-label from what the box says. Typically, when you're dealing with medications, stick to the label. But I do have faith in Cory that he's running his business off of this this med system that he developed. So if it's good enough for Cory, his fish room, and his business, then you know, it's probably good enough for me and my few tanks. It may not work every time for everybody. I did use this this method on my neon tetras, and it didn't really work, but I just assumed those neons were pretty far gone already, and you know, whatever. I'm still trying it. I'm sure it's gonna work just fine. So I dosed it. I'll link Cory's video in the description, but the basics, you put a dose of each one of those 3 meds in. So it's a 75 gallon, so I did 8 packets of General Cure, 8 packets of erythromycin, and I don't remember what the dose was for the ICX, but you know, 80 gallons worth of dose for that. I figured I'm not going to bother trying to figure out that 5-gallon difference with the 75. I do have one question about it, maybe you guys can help me, is, you know, I clearly have a ton of rocks in here that through displacement, you know, my 75-gallon tank probably doesn't hold more than 70 gallons. So maybe I should have did, you know, dosed 70 gallons or maybe less, I don't know, but you know, I did it for I did it for 80 gallons. So you put a dose of each of those in, and you just let it sit for the week. You don't redose throughout the week. Cory does have some specific directions if you do have like a crazy bad case of ick. Mine is very mild, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah, you let it sit for the week, you do your normal water change, and redose if needed. Now, he also recommends to not feed the fish, because if you're dealing with internal parasites and they're trying to pass the parasites, the food could constipate them. He says if you need to, you know, feed them after 5 days, I think he says, lightly, just once. But I don't think I'm going to feed them for the full week, although I do have my one small fry in here. He's just a random guy that did pop up from the hundreds and hundreds of fry that from all my females holding. I did have one actually survive. I think he's still within the size range of fitting in the VC10's mouth, so I'd rather give them a little bit of food and hopefully not have any of my smaller fish beat up too much. So I'll monitor it, see how that goes. That's the basics. The water's pretty cloudy from all the stuff I put in there. You can see that it does form a lot of bubbles when I treat, and it's mainly the powders. When you treat with those powder medications, it changes the viscosity of the water and creates a lot of bubbles. Not a big deal. Cory recommends to increase aeration. I have plenty anyways, and it's fine really. So, moral of the story is do your water changes, but understand that sometimes life happens and you just can't do it. I truly feel it's better for me to be better for the fish to be dealing with this little bit of ick and medication as opposed to dealing with the steroid cream that was left on my hands, you know. So there's that. And I've mentioned in the past that I was going to treat these guys anyways because I've never treated them. Some of these guys I've had for 2, 3, 4 years. My catfish that's in here somewhere, I've had him for close to 15 years, I think, and he's never been treated. So I do just want to kind of clean these guys up, make sure they're good to go. I do have a hospital tank set up in the basement, so from now on I will be quarantining my fish with the same trio of meds, and see how that goes. But I just, you know, I've been improving my aquarium little by little for the last 6 or 7 years. Yeah, I think it's been that long. That's when I first started watching YouTube videos on fish. The first guy I found was John Hudson, KG Tropicals, when I searched African cichlids on YouTube, and he was the one that kicked me off on this. And My tanks have been improving ever since, and you know, just do great, and every day you can do a little bit better. So that's what I got for you guys. Please feel free if you have any tips, tricks, recommendations, advice about anything I mentioned here, anything you've seen in my other videos. I love learning. I love advice. Man, these guys are looking pretty good. So that's what I got. Sorry if I'm a little shaky. My dogs are around here bouncing me around. I'm just a little shaky today. I'm a little tired. And it seems like my phone's popping in and out of focus. So sorry for that. I'm rambling again. So have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.